I'm Max Sterling. Welcome to LarpGasm. Today we're going to be taking a look at this old radio that I found. I used to clean out houses, and this was a radio system that I found in an attic. It's been sitting in my garage for about 4 years, and it was just completely filthy. So I already took the liberty of wiping it down just so I could touch it because it was just nasty. As far as the system, we got some small mismatched speakers with it. It's a Panasonic. I don't know if it works or not, so that's going to be the first thing that we do. And then as far as the next steps, what we're going to do is we're going to tear it all down, and we're going to just make this thing look Wasteland approved, very post-apocalyptic, so that you could take it to a post-apocalyptic LARP or a post-apocalyptic event and have a radio, that plays. This particular one has 2 cassette decks, but it also has a record player. Oh. Actually, there's a record in it too, so bonus. So we're going to see if the cassette decks work, we'll see if the radio works, we'll see if the turntable works. There's no antenna for it, so we'll have to see. I can tell you right now, the speaker wires are very, very shredded, so I don't know if they're going to work at all. But let me set it all up, we'll give it a shot, and see what we got. Okay, so take a look at these speaker wires. Yeah, that's what I'm dealing with. So we'll see how it goes. So back in the day, before they had all kinds of proprietary cables and crap that they would sell you with stereo systems, you just had good old-fashioned speaker wire, which you would just take a minute and you would push down and just slide the bare wire right on in, just like that. So I got these speakers hooked up. There's actually spaces for a CD player. This looks like a CD player would plug in here, so this was an expandable system. So this can't be all that old. This has got to be like maybe late 80s, 90s, so this actually isn't that old of a system. Alright, let's go ahead and turn the radio on and see what happens. The radio works, so that's a bonus. If AM works, FM probably does too. The signal is just not going to be as strong. The power button was already touched, so it does turn on and off. Alright, as far as the tape decks, I can hear it moving. Well, this one actually has a tape in it. Oh, mystery tape. Hey, works. Now, the record player. What do we got here? 22 Fantastic Hits. 1973. Okay. No dice, but we can see what the Dark Lord has to tell us. So something's wrong with this. We're gonna have to fix that. Let me take a look at it real quick. Alright. So slide this up here so we can have a better look at it. Yes, clearly that's not how you handle vinyl, but that's how you handle free vinyl that you don't care about, that you're gonna scratch up. Alright, so alright. This one just pops off. So you can see it's this is still kind of crusty. I didn't clean it off all that well. Alright, And there's our problem right there. See, this, that would be the belt that spins the turntable. So it's stretched out now. In an ideal world, you would get another one of these. You'd have to go on a quest someplace to find another belt for your record player. But in the Wasteland, you got to work with what you got. So we're going to go ahead and just reuse the same one. Oh, and if you don't know how to put a belt on a record player, guess what? This is going to be a bonus for you. You just flip the turntable over and stretch the belt out to put it on there. So it's not too loose. I think we should be okay. Now, this part right here, this is what spins the table. So we got to make sure that as we're putting this down, that gets on there. Now, sometimes these turntables will have a little hole in them that you can stretch the belt on. This one does not. So we're just going to have to go like this and then just basically hook it down on there. Get it back in the hole. 1973 greatest hits. Look at that. So I had to switch lab spaces, but basically what we did was on the side of this, I started out by drilling a hole. I thought I was going to be able to just recess the speaker in there, but it turned out to not be working out the way I wanted, and it was taking too long, so I decided to just cut a square out with Dremel. So all you gotta do is just make your points and just cut. Easy enough to do. On the back of the speaker case, where all the posts are, I went ahead and I put some paint on there and then pressed it exactly where I wanted it to go on here. So then that way I knew where to drill my holes. So now I have my holes drilled and a place for the speaker to go. So all I have to do now is just set the speaker down in the hole, line up the post with the holes, and I have a clean side speaker installation on this. So now you're starting to get the idea of what this will look like. So we're going to have the speakers just run right through the inside, and the wire is going to plug into back here. I drilled two little holes which the wires are going to pop out of, and then I'll see if I can get something to cover this up in the back later. And then of course this is all going to get painted and so on and so forth, but this is where we're at so far. Now I just have to do the other side. Okay, so I ran into a snag on this project. The actual power wire is in some serious trouble. Now at this point, if you're stuck in some sort of post-apocalyptic hell, I mean, whatever, you may just choose to plug it in. If you have some electrical tape, maybe you wrap it up, or wrap it up with whatever you can. Drip some candle wax on it, melt some plastic on it, whatever you want to do. Now, in reality, I should take this cord and replace the whole thing, or at least snip it off and then splice another cord. But what I'm going to do is I have some heat shrink. So I'm going to put some electro tape over this and heat shrink it and just try to make it as safe as possible. I don't particularly plan on using this radio often. Definitely not often enough to get electrocuted. So I'm going to go ahead and just rig it up for now. But before you start a project like this, make sure that what you're starting with is at least in safe operating order. Alright, so although I'm in the middle of drilling out the sides and doing another project, this belt is still giving me trouble with the record player. So there's a couple of things I could try. One of them is boiling this to try to shrink it. However, what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use masking tape to increase the outside diameter here to try to make that belt tighter. So I'm going to give that a shot first, and then if that doesn't work, I'll boil the belt, and hopefully that fixes the record player portion. So, got the record player working, finally. Got my speaker installed on the side. Obviously I can't have volume due to copyright issues, but you can see that it is working. Put some tape around that base. The only problem is, it's off a little. But, you know what? In the apocalypse, you know, if your record plays a little slow or a little fast, you're probably not going to know, and you're just going to deal with it. But it is working. I may try fine-tuning it a little bit to get it to go better and sound better, but if not, it works. The cassette decks work. The radio works. I need to find myself an antenna out in the wasteland and get my other speaker installed on the other side. So I just cut this piece out of the other side with a Dremel. Nothing fancy. Doesn't need to look good. I mean, you can sand it and make it look however you want. The next step, like I said, we're going to take this marker. We're going to color little dots on here. Flip it over where we want it. Press it down. And when we lift it up, there will be little spots where we put the paint. Okay, so that's how we're going to do it. That's how we know where exactly to drill these holes for these to go through. And we're going to pick a drill bit that is larger slightly in diameter so that these hole pegs can go through. Of course, depending on the stereo you're using, the speakers you're using, configuration and everything, your build can be very different than this. This is just so happens how mine is going. Okay, so both speakers are in. So, if you notice, we have one speaker on the left, one speaker on the right. The wires sort of just pop out of the back, go right into the plugs. Like I said, I might try to make a cover for that. It is working. Obviously, I can't play the music, unfortunately, but everything is working. Oh, turntable got a little jacked up there, but everything is good to go. So, the next step is going to be to just secure everything, put the bottom back on, rough it up a little bit, and then maybe a few surprises. We'll see.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me hard. I'd fuck me so hard. Oh, hey. I know sometimes these videos can get a little bit long and drawn out, but you know what? It's better to have too much information than not enough. Be sure to check out the next part of this video.
So, let me go ahead and play us out. Until next time, adventure on.